When Daniel was 12 years old, his grandfather gave him $50 and said, "I want you to do something with this. Not save it, do something with it." Daniel did not understand what that meant at the time. He was a smart kid. He had always been told by everyone around him that saving money was the responsible thing to do. His parents said it. His teachers said it. Every adult in his life repeated the same message. Save your money. Be careful. Do not spend what you do not have to spend. So when his grandfather handed him that $50 and told him not to just save it, Daniel felt confused, even a little afraid. But what happened over the next few weeks changed the way Daniel thought about money, work, and life for the rest of his days. And I think it might change the way you think about it too. Daniel's grandfather was not a wealthy man by most people's standards. He had a small house, a modest garden, and a truck that had seen better days. But there was something about him that people noticed. He never seemed worried about money. Not once in all the years Daniel had known him did he ever hear his grandfather say he could not afford something that truly mattered. And yet, he never flashed money around or talked about how much he had. Daniel had always assumed his grandfather was just lucky. But that $50 lesson was about to show him that it had nothing to do with luck. Daniel took the $50 home and thought about it for 3 days. He could save it. That felt safe. He could spend it on things he wanted. That felt good for about 5 minutes before the guilt would set in. But his grandfather had said to do something with it. So Daniel started thinking differently. What could $50 become if he actually used it? He noticed that his neighbors spent every Saturday morning driving to the market to buy fresh vegetables. It was a long drive, and most of them found it exhausting. So Daniel used his $50 to buy a large batch of fresh vegetables from a farm just outside town and sold them door to door in his neighborhood on Saturday morning. By noon, he had made $80. He had started the day with 50 and ended it with 80, plus he still had vegetables left over. He ran to his grandfather's house that afternoon, out of breath, holding the money in both hands. His grandfather looked at the cash, then looked at Daniel and smiled slowly. He said, "Now you understand the difference between money that sits and money that moves." His grandfather sat him down at the kitchen table and told him something that Daniel would carry for the rest of his life. He said, "Most people think that being responsible with money means holding on to it as tightly as possible. They save every dollar out of fear that something bad will happen, fear that there will not be enough, and that fear keeps them stuck. Because when you save money out of fear, you never learn how to create it. You only learn how to hold on to what you already have, and what you hold on to," he said quietly, "is always shrinking." Daniel asked what he meant. His grandfather explained that the money sitting in a jar under your bed is not safe. It is slowly becoming worth less every single year because of how the world works. But the knowledge of how to take $50 and turn it into 80 that never loses its value, that grows with you. That is something nobody can ever take away. He told Daniel that there are 3 kinds of people when it comes to money. The first kind spends everything they earn and wonders why they are always broke. The second kind saves everything they earn and wonders why they never feel free. The third kind learns how money moves, how value is created, and how to put what they have to work. That third kind, his grandfather said, is the kind you want to be. Daniel asked his grandfather which kind he was. The old man laughed softly and said, "I spent most of my life being the second kind, saving out of fear and calling it wisdom. It was only when I lost everything in my 40s that I was forced to become the third kind. And losing everything, as terrible as it was the greatest education I ever received. Because I came out the other side knowing something that no amount of savings could have taught me. I knew how to start again." Over the following months, Daniel kept using his money. He tried things that did not work. He made mistakes. He lost some of what he earned and had to start smaller again. But every single time, he learned something. And slowly, steadily, he began to understand what his grandfather had been trying to show him, that the goal was never the money itself. The goal was the person he was becoming in the process of learning how to work with it. Years later, Daniel became one of the most respected people in his community. Not because he was the richest, but because when anyone around him was in trouble, when someone needed to start a business or get back on their feet, Daniel was the first person they called, because he knew things that could not be learned in school or read in a book. He had learned them with $50, a Saturday morning, and a grandfather who cared enough to tell him the truth. The lesson Daniel's grandfather taught him was not really about money at all. It was about the difference between living in fear and living with understanding. So many of us have been taught to hold on tight, to play it safe, to protect what little we have. And while being responsible is important, there is a version of responsibility that quietly becomes a prison. A life spent guarding what you have instead of growing into who you could become. Your money is a tool, and like any tool, its value depends entirely on whether you learn how to use it. Saving matters, but saving alone is not a plan. It is a pause, and you were not born to spend your whole life on pause. If this story gave you something to think about today, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories and lessons like this every week. Drop a comment below and tell me the best lesson about money or life that someone older and wiser once taught you. I would love to read every single one. Thank you for watching. Now go do something with what you have.